Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Planet Tyro to continue our celebration for our little Celebrate International Animation Day project, where we are focusing on the very notorious and critically acclaimed, for good and bad, Ralph Bakshi. I'm here with my buddy, and I'm actually going to call him my partner in war. My wartime partner.
Oh, shit,
the
man.
cat-faced killer. Thank you for joining me. A very big thank you for joining me on this retrospective.
Don't send me back to the trenches, dude. Don't fucking send me back to the trenches. I mean, I still have to do Fear the Walking Dead too. Oh my god, why did we ever commit to that?
I don't want to say anything, but anyway, let's just move on. Last time, guys, if you followed our discussion, we actually spoke about Fritz the Cat. Again, a very decisive opinion. Well, actually, I don't know, man. You know, I will say, to be fair, people have said of Ralph Bakshi's works, you either love him or hate him, like Marmite. In Britain, we've got this condiment called Marmite, and it's the slogan, you love it or you hate it, because that's how people feel about it, and people feel the same about Ralph Bakshi. And my surprise is that I have fond memories of these movies, and watching them again, I don't know if I've just gotten older, so I've become more critical, analytical. I'm having a completely new experience, like I'm watching these films for the first time.
Oh, I watched these films for the first time. I can tell you right now, I'm more interested in your Marmite discussion. I've never heard of that. What's Marmite?
It's a condiment. It's like a sauce. I don't even know what the hell it is. All I know is I don't like it. Speaking of things I don't like, we're gonna move on to the next movie.
What's it taste like?
I honestly don't remember. I just remember I was on the side of not liking it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm that guy."
Oh, maybe you should taste it again because you haven't checked it out for a long time. Like with these Ralph Bakshi's movies, maybe your opinions change.
I knew that's what you were. And you know what? To be fair, I like what you're doing right there, because you're telling me to keep an open mind, revisit it, and maybe things will change. And you know what? That's a great point. So, back on track, we're talking about, I didn't even get the date. I think it's 1973's Heavy Traffic. I think it was the year after Fritz the Cat. I might be wrong, but Ralph Bakshi's filmography, most of it is in like a 10-year window, and then he trickled off and doing a few other movies. I think he only did Cool World in the 90s. So right now, we're focusing on Heavy Traffic. And I finished watching the movie the day before doing this recording, and what a motherfucking trip. I don't know if I was in a bad mood or if I watched it at the wrong time, but this movie literally gave me a headache.
No, I can confirm it's a headache giver because it gave me a headache too watching it. And I was high, so I shouldn't have even gotten a headache.
Really? I said to you the other day, I thought that's the optimum mind space to be in and watch these movies.
No.
I thought, no?
I can confirm it's not.
Oh boy. Alright, so let me talk about my experience with the movie. Now, when we usually start, I usually talk about what the story is about, the narrative. While I was watching the movie, I was struggling to figuring out what it was about, because the movie was just going from scene to scene, and all I could latch onto was the main character was this man named Michael, who is an underground cartoonist, underground writer, whatever. And we're not even seeing the movie from his perspective, but he's the most normal character. And everyone around him in his world is just really off the wall, insane, doing all these crazy things. It's like an X-rated version of Looney Tunes gone crazy. And I want to interject and say this. Now, Ralph Bakshi himself grew up, I believe it was in a very hectic time in New York, in the streets, where he got to observe all the things that he shows in these early animated street movies. So these movies are depictions of a lot of his experiences as an observer, which I understand. Now, the movie is a series of extremes. Everything he comes across in these movies are extremes. In Fritz the Cat, again, that was off a comic series, even though that was based in the 70s, in hippie culture and revolution and getting high, all that stuff. It was true to the time. So this one, in this movie, Heavy Traffic, it seems that we're just being shown all of these things, all of these stereotypes, all of these, his parents are having a very rocky relationship. There's things with gangs going on in the street. There's just things with bums. And the reason why I say the movie gave me a headache is because it was just throwing nonsensical scenes after nonsensical scenes at me, and there was no thorough line narrative, and a lot of the things that were happening was just kind of exploitative in the way that you're seeing cartoon characters doing very debaucherous things again, shooting, murder, taking drugs, having sex, for no apparent reason, and just watching it as a narrative, I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? What the fuck is going on? What is the story here? And the animation is really psychedelic. There's so many. I'm going to actually bring up scenes that are just so noteworthy, and just the scenes in the movie stand out to you, but they were just so strong. They came on so powerful, and just this animation style was so all over the place. That's what gave me the headache, the overall execution. And by the end of it, I literally felt like my head was coming out of water, like, oh, I can breathe again, because honestly, this was fucking insane.
For me, I had a fairly similar feeling, except I don't feel like that was the cause for me at the end. Like, I felt good that was over. I just felt confused, like Fritz the Cat. In fact, it's like Fritz the Cat Part 2 for me.
Yeah.
I watched the movie. I was like, what the fuck is going on the whole time? I don't understand what the fuck is going on. It's like some dude just meandering around, and everybody's a cartoon character. He's a straight man. He's a lazy deadbeat straight man, just like Fritz the Cat.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I guess the cartoon segment kind of ends, which is actually kind of a neat ending visually. But
yeah.
I mean, outside of that, it's like literally the only thing I can really remember about the movie. I only watched it a couple weeks ago, and I went on Wikipedia. I was like, what the fuck did I just read? I mean, what the fuck did I just watch? And I read the synopsis. It literally told me what I watched, but I couldn't make a straight narrative out of it. It was just a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like a collage of scenes that are just nonsensical going on. That's racially stereotyping and degrading, and that's kind of it. It's like everybody's just kind of a cartoon character. And then, never mind. That was just his imagination at the end. I want my life back.
I don't want to sit here and moan about the movie because I'm an intelligent adult. I understand what he was doing. As I said, he was being an observer. And I know he was subverting certain racial themes, stuff like that. He was just he was making a commentary on the life he lived and the things he saw. And that's fine. But there's no story. It's just the character called Michael walking around, watching people, and these people are doing crazy things. Now, let me dig a little bit deeper, just so people know I actually watched the movie and I'm not just bitching about it. The first 10 minutes of the movie starts in live action. That's one of the big themes. That's one thing I like about Ralph Bakshi. This movie is actually super experimental. To me, this whole movie is just like an experiment with art and a cartoon animation and characters and ideas. And this is what hipsters eat for dinner. They love this kind of shit. They love trying to break it down and try to find the inner meanings. And for me, it's just a collage of ideas. And to start, you see the main character in live action on a pinball machine. And this pinball machine, you keep on coming back to this pinball machine through real life. It's just scattered throughout the narrative of the movie. You see him playing pinball while you see his animated form living his life in the street.
I don't understand what's the point though. Like, what does the pinball machine have anything to do with the narrative?
It's not part of the narrative. It's just like, again, it's just experimental. Why don't we throw this live action scene in here? I don't think it's really meant to mean anything. It's just a nice backdrop to the whole thing. It was experimental, it was fine. And okay, one thing I do like, two things I like about this very much is I do, again, like the animation style. It's really cool. The character designs, they're a bit sloppy, but I still like them, and it has got that Looney Tunes feel because the characters are elastic. They run around, they bounce off each other. Even when they get shot sometimes, they don't exactly die. They just go all over the place, and it's frustrating because it's like, this is unrealistic for you trying to be a gritty story, but at the same time, it's kind of cool. And then Ralph Bakshi introduces a lot of live action. There was actually one particular segment through this movie. It was actually kind of scary. It actually I don't know why, it kind of threw me. There's a scene where Michael goes to this photo shoot, and the photo shoot is live action, but it's shot in negative. Like, the backdrop is these negative models.
Weren't they all dressed like clowns too?
No, that comes later. Comes later. It's just these girls, these naked girls in bikinis. It's shot in negative in black, so you can't really see them, but they're in color. And then Ralph Bakshi, he flips the color so you can see them in live action too. It's so long. It's very disturbing. For a while, I thought, why are you doing this? I don't really get it. But it's just artistic experimentation. And they do interact with the live action characters, which is very weird. And it's like, why? But it's kind of cool. And they do that again and again and again. But again, because there's no real narrative, it's just Michael going from place to place. There's this, one of them other main characters is this black lady who works at a bar, who Michael starts to have this kind of weird relationship-ish thing with. There's one scene that nearly made me hate the movie. I'm probably never going to forget this scene for the rest of my life because honestly, it is absolutely ridiculous. Michael is on the roof with his friends, and his friends are all insulting for being a virgin. You're drawing these cartoons. Why are you drawing these cartoons for? Because you never get laid. Ha ha ha. And his friends are, we're going to sort you out. So his friends, they have a girl there for him on the roof. They got, she's probably a prostitute or whatever. So she's like, come and get it, boy. And she's completely naked. She's shoving her tits together. And then I don't know if you remember, it's oh boy. So he starts getting interested. He's like, yeah, I'm going to fuck her. And his friends are there watching. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So he's about to have sex with this girl on the roof. But in his eagerness, he trips over his trousers trying to get to her. Yeah, he knocks
her over. I remember.
Yeah, he knocks her over the roof where she apparently dies. And he turns to the camera and says, she had it coming. And walks away. When I saw that shit, I was like, man, fuck this movie. Is that meant to be funny? He literally was going to have sex with some hoe on the roof and then he fucking killed her. And then he walks off saying...
He thought he killed her.
Yeah, I'll get to that. I'll get to that part. So it was bad enough when I thought, he killed her. But obviously that was going too far for Ralph Bakshi. So what you find out is that she didn't die. She's hanging by her foot for a good 20 minutes of the movie naked like a fucking idiot. And I'm just like, is this meant to be funny? Because it's really the most unfunniest thing I've seen in his filmography to date. And she's hanging, you see her through the movie, she's hanging there naked by her foot on the stair rail. And there's even one part that Michael sees that, someone better do something about that. I'm like, is this really meant to be funny?
Yeah, straight up. I don't remember her popping up throughout the movie because, like, you made a comparison to Looney Tunes. Let me say something. Looney Tunes is awesome. It's pretty funny and entertaining. It got taken off the air because, like this, it does racial stereotyping and other offensive things, but it's still mostly funny, entertaining if you're not uptight about that shit. I can speak as somebody on that because, like, for example, they had like a World War II episode where Bugs Bunny was really being racist to Japanese people. Sure. I didn't like that episode, but I still like pretty much 95% of the other Looney Tunes stuff I watched. It was really funny. This is kind of like the opposite. I like maybe 5% of the movie, and everything else was just like, I want to shoot myself in the face.
Yeah, there was another scene where, because this movie, again, is a collection of memorable scenes. For better or worse, you will remember some scenes when you see them because they're just so insane. And by today's standards, if we go to the 70s, again, there was a lot of experimentation in cinema, which is why I'm trying to taper my angst towards this movie because I'm like, it's the 70s were a time of experimentation. Blaxploitation was on the rise, and I know that's a big thing. A big criticism of Ralph Bakshi is that a lot of the black characters, they say nigger a lot and they're very niggerish. That doesn't bother me per se because it does feel genuine. It does feel that he just did that naturally. It doesn't feel overtly racist. It just seems inappropriate and over the top. But I understand why it could bother some people. But there's a scene I'm talking about where Michael goes to the roof, even before that sex scene, he goes to the roof and there's a black guy, a homeless guy on the roof, and he's just nonsensical, rambling, and there's a bird. The black guy wants to kill this bird while he's rambling, and Michael tries to get the bird off the roof, and the bird shits in his face, and him and the black guy are rambling and fighting, and it just goes on, and again, it's like, I don't really get, is it meant to be funny? Is this just meant to be, here's what it's like meeting some random tramp on the street? They're crazy, but this shit just goes on. There's police in the movie that are just overtly racist and shooting people. And again, I understand, believe me, I can put my disdain for the movie aside. I can understand what he's doing. He's trying to show the ugly side of the streets at the time of the era, and these are the things he saw. But the problem is, these are all like exaggerations, or he's just painting all the negative sides of the street. And again, I know this is what Ralph Bakshi says. Disney, they weren't showing this. They were just making things light and fluffy. So he went the other way. That's what Ralph Bakshi, he's gone the other way, the complete other way. And I don't think that's necessarily great. I understand from a historical standpoint, he can seem like a hero and it's great. He's taking the barriers down. He's showing the other things animation could do. But for me, he just went the other way with it in this particular idea. And there's no narrative. He could have done something more clever. And on the base level, I can see what he was doing, but he never had the story. He is Michael. To me, His character is Michael. Ralph Bakshi is the Michael character.
No, there's no question about it. Michael
Yeah.
is supposed to be him. But let me say this, just like our Death Note recording, just because you can be different when you have a choice to make in your story and your narrative, doesn't make it the better choice, especially when you're just like, I'm going to check all the B-box and be different. This is kind of the shit that happens when you do that.
Yeah. Just to wrap this up, because it's you can't really decipher the movie just because there's no narrative. There really isn't. It's just a scene after scene after scene after scene. And the movie, like you said, ends with them going into live action where you see the real Michael character. And I actually thought that was a cool idea, that, oh, it's not just a cartoon. It's actually a real story with real people. I was like, that's kind of sweet. I don't know if he was trying to emphasize this interracial relationship between him and this black woman, because she's just doing her own thing, and their relationship in the movie doesn't even make any sense. She just goes to his house because she leaves her job and she can't go home, and she's just, even at one point she wants to hold herself out, but she can't even do that properly. So it's nonsensical. I'm not even trying to make sense of this. People, they're just living their lives. Again, this is like a kind of a documentary gone wild. This is a documentary of an exaggeration of the street life of Ralph Bakshi through the eyes of a cartoon animator. And it's an interesting idea, that it would have been better if there was an actual story, an A to B story, and it just wasn't so overtly sexual and overtly violent just for its sake. Because watching it in 2017, it just seems to have no purpose but to shock or to be experimental. And as an experimental animated movie, it's just a bunch of ideas on the screen, which again is fine. Personally, I didn't enjoy it at all. I actually thought Fritz the Cat was a headache. This gave me way more of a headache. I was like, what the fuck did I just watch? I know what you were trying to do, Bakshi, and I respect it, but personally, I don't like it. And there's other things I'm going to talk about outside of the movie, but for me, I was just like, what the fuck did I just watch? It was a fucking headache, man.
No, straight up, this is not feeling this for me. And if you want to compare it to our recording with Fritz the Cat, artistically, like, if you're not even paying attention to the storyline, you just want to see all the visual stuff and be like, oh, okay, that was kind of neat. Or I can see where this thing nowadays came from. Like, this is the roots of it, etc. Like, the ending of the movie, like you're saying, where it went from cartoon to live action is really psychedelic. The character, Michael, gets shot. The cartoon character gets shot in the head, and it's really psychedelic, explodes, and it's real life again. That was really neat visually, but like, I had to slog through over an hour to get to that one neat animation scene, and it's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
If somebody pointed a gun at my face and like, this is not the cartoon Heavy Traffic, you're gonna get shot in the face if you don't pick one of these things to watch, I would actually watch Fritz the Cat over it, even though I hate both of them, just because Fritz the Cat sort of kind of has a narrative that maybe loosely makes sense, whereas Heavy Traffic is just a jumbled mess of some guy meandering around. Like, literally the same kind of story where they're just meandering around, but it's just a bunch of random shit that doesn't make any sense at all in Heavy Traffic, whereas in Fritz the Cat, it's kind of like, well, this guy is supposed to be a debaucherous, funny guy, quote-unquote funny.
Yeah.
And I guess it kind of makes it a little bit less worse.
I personally don't know what I should have been feeling when I was watching the movie. That I don't understand what the emotions he was trying to convey. I just think he was just trying to say, these are the worst parts of my city, of what I live through. I'm going to put it to animated film because I can do all this crazy psychedelic stuff. It's an experience. And for that, I could tell why people lapped it up. And actually, why don't we move to the feedback? Because to my surprise, man, I always heard this was one of Bakshi's best works. I watched the movie and I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe these are old reviews, but no, man, you saw the IMDb reviews, right? What did you hear the people saying about this movie?
Okay, so if I were to break this down based off of looking at the reviews that we looked at right before the recording, it seems that 8 out of 10 people fucking love this movie. One of them's kind of in the middle, and then one person just shadow over like us. So I don't know. I don't understand people nowadays, dude. Like, if I ever say I'm more hipster than I thought I was, slap me, because I'm not. I don't fucking understand these people.
Yeah, I think this ticks every single hipster box, because to me, this is a spectacle. I don't get it. And again, I'm sure someone will tell me, you don't get the movie. You don't get what I was trying to say.
Well, they'd be right. I don't fucking get it. Exactly. I don't get it.
No, but they will try to attack me intellectually. Like, you don't get the social message. You don't get what you're trying to say. Even as a black person, I thought you would appreciate the metaphors and all for the black community. I'm like, look, man, I can see the idea, but it was completely unbaked. It was completely just, everything was thrown in the pizza. and just I don't know, man. And I
So
don't.
I want to talk about social commentary. There was more social commentary in Fritz the Cat with the crows and the riots and all that stuff than there
Sure.
was in this movie. Don't give me that garbage, you fucking
Yeah.
hipster
Yeah.
weirdos. Okay?
Yeah, I read reviews. You saw there's paragraphs, there's breakdowns this review, and I ain't
Oh
trying
my
to.
god, some people I don't know, they spent like half an hour on the review. I don't understand. I can't even spend half an hour trying to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, this is an auteur movie, and believe me,
This is a tour de force.
some people like movies. No, some people like movies that they can just dissect to the nth degree. They don't actually want a narrative. They want an idea movie. Give me a movie that's just ideas. So I give me the ingredients. I can make my own cake. That's fine. I mean, there's a movie out right now called Mother, which I heard is the same thing. Everyone's gone on about this movie. It makes no sense, nonsensical. It's just the director's going crazy, throwing all this religious stuff. I haven't seen the movie myself, but you get these kind of movies every once in a while. And I will put this in full context. We're talking about this movie in 2017. This movie is, nearly 50 years old. So again, the 70s was a different time, a lot of experimentation in cinema. And for me, like I said before, it's a cat. I think a lot of the accolades with this movie has got to do with Ralph Bakshi as a director using animation to go a place no one has gone before, which again, I respect, but it doesn't necessarily mean I enjoy. And again, I actually remember liking this movie a lot more, but now I just think it's an idea movie. I'm trying to be very, very positive about this movie. It's an experimental movie. It's an idea movie, a movie of a lot of scenes. Oh, and I love the music. The music was actually, there's a song in particular that kept on playing. That was great. He plays even at the end with Michael and the black girl. It was very nice, very sweet song.
Oh, okay, yeah, I kind of remember that credits. Before you mentioned the credits, I was like, I don't remember any good song in there. But dude, let me put it like this, okay?
Yeah.
I'm only doing this because the director. When it comes to sex, you have a lot of options people don't normally do. But just because you can doesn't mean you should be sticking stuff in like the belly button or the ear, dude. It's just people don't do it for a reason because it's not entertaining. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And it's just weird for weird's sake.
I'm really trying not to just overgeneralize, but again, I understand. We ain't seen it before. It was at the time it was cool. Look, man, how many times have we criticized even hentai? Do you know what I'm saying? Man, I don't know what to say. It's not like I haven't seen this shit done before, crates and stuff like that. But even hentai has narrative. Maybe this is just not our tools movie. Maybe this just ain't for me. If you like the movie and you think that we're just stuck up, we didn't get it, we're also
you keep that shit to yourself. I don't want to have a fucking argument over this. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, I watched the movie. I did this recording. I don't want to fucking think about this shit again. It's like that's just wasted brain space for me. And I got a brain the size of a lemon. Okay.
You know, one thing I did say about Fritz the Cat, I don't know if it applies to this movie, and I think it does. Maybe more so than Fritz the Cat. Put it on the screen in a bar. You know, what the fuck is this? Interesting visuals. Again, that's probably the best praise I can give it. And this is definitely more experimental with Fritz the Cat, with the live action, with a lot of scenes. I don't think you need to listen to this. If you're just watching it, if you think, oh, the volume's down, if I turn it on, I'll get it, you won't.
You definitely won't. You know what? I can confirm watching both this and Fritz the Cat while you're high, not ideal. And probably doing it sober, I mean, I would trust your opinion. So doing it sober, not a good idea either. Definitely. Maybe if you're drunk in a bar, it might be, but do it with this volume off. Make up the dialogue yourself. Fuck it.
Yeah, I know people are going to think, oh, well, you're just shitting on these movies. Why do you even focus on Ralph Bakshi? Because, again, I still respect what he did. And, again, it's not always about review and talking about stuff I love. I thought I enjoyed these movies, but I'm having a fun time still reviewing these movies at my age with my kind of thought process and kind of seeing how I feel about it now because he's still well respected. But we got so much movies to get through. Let's not make this any longer than it needs to be, guys. Let us know what you think below. Agree or disagree. Be civil, guys. I know there's a lot of fanboys and I know there's a lot of haters. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. And oh boy, Killer, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for joining me on this one, man. I really do want to appreciate you for going to war with me on these movies. But I know it ain't all going to be hard. And I know you've seen some you like more than this. So it ain't all bad.
Hey, you know what? All I got to say is by the end of it, when they ship me home in a litter box, pin a medal on my chest and tell my mom I did my best.
We'll get through it. And guys, again, if you like the discussion, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on the podcast, I want to say thanks for listening. And we will be continuing, guys, with the open mind, being as fair as we can. We thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the next recording.
Fuck this shit.
I can edit that out. Don't worry.
Oh, I thought you wouldn't.